Hey everybody, welcome back to some more Crystalline. Last time we slept at Amelia's parents' house, and now the group has decided to call her Amy. Kara grins and pats Amelia on the head.
I knew you'd come around.
Amelia at first blinks in confusion. As Kara continues to pat her, she doesn't really seem to know what to do with herself. Eventually, she just lets it happen. Although Amelia tries to act cool, a touch of pink in her cheeks gives away her true thoughts. I think she likes the nickname. I guess her name is Amy now. Since everyone else is calling her Amy, I guess I may as well too. Plus, as Zach said, it's shorter than the alternative.
Anyway, let's get going.
We resume our journey. For the next 3 days, we travel on foot during the day and make camp at night. Leanna continues my casting trainings, but I have made no progress. I've begun to feel discouraged, and although she tries hard to hide it, I can sense the frustration Leanna feels. Why am I having such a difficult time casting? There must be something I'm missing. Since Leanna won't give up on trainings, I resolve to push past my disappointment and continue to focus myself. On the 4th day, we travel the entire day and set up camp in the evening. As we've done in all our past trainings, Zach, Kara, and Amelia take care of the setup, while Leanna and I find an open area to train. I still dread whenever it's time to train, as I haven't shown any progress. It's starting to feel like a useless chore at this point.
Ready?
I reluctantly nod.
Alright, just like we've practiced, focus on channeling through the manipulator.
As I've done many times before, I try to do exactly what Leanna says. Just like all of my previous attempts, it doesn't work.
You've got this. You just have to focus.
I'm focusing. I strain with all my might, simultaneously trying to figure out what exactly I'm supposed to be focusing on and wondering if this is all actually bogus anyway. Leanna watches me intently, waiting for a spark of magic that doesn't appear. I let go and breathe out in frustration.
Try again.
Have we considered the possibility that only humans from Terra can cast? Leanna's voice is firm.
Just try again.
With a heavy sigh, I bring up my hand again and try again. As expected, nothing happens. This is completely pointless. I lower my hand. Maybe I'm just not meant to cast. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind pushes me off my feet and knocks me to the ground. Oof! Leanna glares at me and a fierce look on her face.
Get up!
Jesus Christ, she's angry. I calm as I catch my breath and push myself to my feet. What the hell? Leanna raises her arm again.
Deflect this!
Deflect? What does mean by deflect? I can't use my sword to stop a gust of wind. I end up taking another hit and sway unsteadily on my feet.
I said deflect!
I balk at the sternness of her tone. Her entire demeanor has changed from a calm, patient teacher to a dangerous mage knight. What's gotten into you? She ignores me and aims another shot of magic. This time I jump out of the way, but she is relentless. She lines up another shot. I don't know what you mean by deflect. Leanna sends another gust after me, in which I only narrowly dodge. Before I can get my bearings, another shot of magic comes at me, and another. Would you just... And another. Hold on. And another. My breathing is short, and anger warms my blood. She shooting off-wind blasts so quickly I don't have time to think or move. Her attacks are relentless, and they keep knocking me down. Another gust of wind soars towards me. Leanna, stop! I take that blast, and as though it's just as powerful as the other, this time I maintain my footing.
That's not deflecting!
She frowns in concentration as she ramps up another attack. She then lets loose another gust of wind. I try to block with my arms, but the blast is strong, and at last it hurls me into the air. I crash painfully on the ground, but force the pain get back to my feet. My breathing is ragged, my body is sore. Leanna is already channeling another attack. I don't know what's gotten into her, but I can't keep taking these hits. As she launches another attack, the anger bubbles inside of me and boils over. I throw out my hand and feel the anger shoot out my arm, and out of my glowing manipulator there's a gust of wind which knocks the blast away. Leanna gasps and drops her attacks.
You did it!
I stare at my arm, too bewildered to even comprehend what's happening. Suddenly, Leanna laughing loudly. As things calm down, I notice the rest of the group were already there. They must have heard the commotion.
He casted?
Leanna grins broadly.
He did! He finally cast!
I'm not fucking happy about the way we had to do it, though.
That's amazing!
The wind magic came from me. Realization slowly dawns on me. I casted that. My eyes grow wide and split into a huge grin. Yes, I can't believe I did it. I would. This guy is not me. I mean, he's lucky he's not. I'd be fucking living. I'd be like, I don't give a shit. I need to cool off. And then walk away. I'd be like, No way, no how. Leanna's grinning from ear to ear. Even Zach cracks a small smile and nods. Amelia watches curiously.
I assume you used the technique which we had previously discussed.
Wait, what? Leanna looks sheepish and she refuses to make eye contact. What technique? The high from my casting begins to wear off as I remember the mix of anger and confusion I felt from the attacks. You mean you guys thought it would be a good idea to randomly just start attacking me? Leanna shakes her head and looking a mixture of worried and guilty. Amelia calmly responds.
Indeed.
I didn't expect her to so bluntly agree. Why?
You were making no progress on your training, and I believed a new strategy was necessary. One such method is to utilize the ingrained need for survival. When placed in high stress, dangerous situations, the human body will use all its resources to ensure survival. By putting you in such a situation, your response to protect yourself enabled you to tap into the manipulator and channel energy.
I consider what Amelia said. Everything happened so fast, but once I realized there was no way to talk my way out of Leanna's attacks, I knew there was only one way out.
I'm really sorry. Amelia felt this was the best way for you to learn since you didn't seem to be getting it my way.
She trails
I
off.
hope I wasn't too hard on you.
Obviously, I'm not that happy to have been surprised by this, but I'll admit that it was an effective method. Lane looks up.
Does that mean you forgive me?
I nod. She smiles with sighs of relief. So now what? Should I try
Are you
again?
feeling up to it? If you need to take a break, we can do that.
Yeah, let's not hit me with anything. I think I should be okay. As words leave my mouth, my arms stings and I feel sweat upon my elbow. When I look down, I notice blood on my shirt. Leanna gasps.
You're bleeding.
And twist my arm and try to see the damage. You don't
Hold
say.
on, I brought bandages.
It's really no big deal. She races to the camp and grabs a roll of gauze from her pack. When she returns, she kneels beside me and reaches for my arm. I move my arm out of her grasp. I'm okay, really. It's just a scratch. Based on the level of the bleeding, I can tell there's a bit more than a scratch, so can Leanna. She shakes her head.
It's my fault you got hurt.
Oh, shut up. Yes, you're right. But now you can't. You knew that attacking me could cause damage. But you did it anyway. Without taking no for an answer, she grabs my arm and takes a look. This time I don't bother resisting. Gently, she dabs at the blood with a damp cloth, and I try not to wince from the sting.
I'm sorry. I'll try to be gentle.
You're fine. Her hands are warm and delicate, and for a moment I forget what she's doing and can only feel her touch. Her gentle fingers deftly wrap the gauze around my arm. After she secures it, she lets her hands fall back in her lap. I feel a split second of disappointment as I let my own arm fall
There,
beside me.
good as new.
Thanks. I move my arm back and forth experimentally. The gauze holds pretty well. Thanks. She smiles
No
warmly.
problem.
Yeah, I'll get over it. I have to, for the sake of getting a good ending. I get to my feet and return to my camp. After we've all had the chance to eat and relax, we get ready for bed. For once, as soon as I lay down my head, exhaustion overtakes me and I fall right asleep. We wake up the next morning and continue our travels. After my last burst of magic, I've tried to replicate that feeling of casting. Although I'm finally seeing some improvement, I still can't cast as well as I'd hope. The result of my casting is just a weak tendril of magic, but at least it's something. Leanna's spirits have been lifted too, and she continues my training with renewed enthusiasm. A couple of days pass before the trees become denser as we reach the woods. We must be on the right track. At first, the walk is easy and the trees line the well-worn path, but the deeper into the forest we traverse, the more careful we become of our steps, and the wild undergrowth tangles our legs. The bongo wobbles unsteadily over the roots and debris on the ground, and then hops onto my shoulder. The canopy overhead thickens, blocking out much of the sunlight. Leanna glances uneasily around her. Noticing Leanna, Zach glances around too, and becomes grave.
I think we stumbled into the forest of grieving.
Leanna box.
Grieving?
Grieving? Oh no, I don't want to be sad. The pongo looks concerned.
Hey, boy?
Zach nods. Kara looks curiously at Zach, then watches Leanna gaze suspiciously around her. She seems to put two and two together and grins mischievously.
Isn't that the one with all the trapped souls?
Oh my god. This is just a fucking sham. The last one was a sham. This one's a sham. Leanna's eyes widen and her voice trembles.
Trapped souls?
Leanna's so cute when she gets flustered. Oh yeah, I think I heard about this back at the end. Isn't this the forest where every one of those souls tried to take their own life and then... I freeze, my eyes grow wide and I let my jaw drop and I point behind Leanna with a shaky finger. Leanna, don't move. Leanna rushes over and latches onto me.
Don't let it get me!
That was a very interesting turn of events. I hide my grin and I lay a hand to comfort her. Amelia puts her hand on her hips.
Evidently, Zack, you were misinformed, as there is no such place as the Forest of Grieving.
Ah, you bummer. What did you do?
No, there definitely is a Forest of Grieving. Right, Kara?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If that is true, it is certainly not here.
You fucking idiot! Lana pouts and her face is bright red.
You guys are the worst!
She rushes closer to Amelia and pointedly ignores Zack and Kara, who pretend to hide their amusement. Lana frowns at me too. The Pongo shoots the two of them dirty looks.
That's right, Pongo.
She scoops him into her arms and hugs him into her chest. The Pongo doesn't protest. We continue to walk in silence as we venture further within the forest. The air feels thick and heavy. The canopy thins out, but the trees themselves have a knotted and thick bark, making them seem very old. They brighten with an ethereal blue-green luminescence. Does anyone else feel that? The Pongo squirms in Leanna's grasp and hops out before exploring the forest.
This place is loaded with magical energy.
Is that why it's glowing?
The natural formation of crystals is what gives it its coloration.
I take my time admiring the natural beauty of the place. It feels like a scene from a fairy tale. Peeking out from behind a tree is a small pink Pongo. My Pongo hops over to her, and when she realizes she's been spotted, she hops out into the view and tilts her head curiously. Aren't they just a head? Isn't that just what Pongos are? Just one big blob? They're like slimes. The pink Pongo looks over at Leanna and gives her a wide grin. Leanna gasps and hops closer to her.
How cute!
She reaches out towards the pink Pongo, who hops into her arms.
She likes me!
Leanna squeals excitedly and hugs her close. Another Pongo peeks out from behind the bush and hops over to Leanna. Her grin grows even wider. She opens her arms and the Pongo hops in, much to Leanna's
Another
delight.
Pongo! Boy!
More Pongo! Another Pongo! More Pongo again!
What?
Even more Pongos pop out from behind the names. More Pongo is ideal. Even more Pongos pop out from behind the trees and bushes and begin to surround Leanna, who watches them with joy.
So many Pongos!
She reaches out to all of them, and they each openly receive her affection. They look a lot different than I imagined. I didn't imagine them having colored eyes for some reason. I don't know why. Was the first Pongo look like that? Ah, man, Okay, the chorus of poise increases, even more emerge, and soon even Leanna is overwhelmed by the sheer number of Pongos. Zack stands as close to the edge of the trees as possible, as far away from the Pongos as possible. His hands hover protectively over his discharges as he eyes the Pongo suspiciously. Amelia moves from Pongo to Pongo, seemingly studying the variations. Kara joins in and plays with the Pongo closest to her. As even more Pongos filter out of the clearing, Leanna's eyes fill with tears.
Too many Pongos!
Oh no, Leanna, are you okay? Her smile is still as wide as ever, and she kneels to the ground, holding as many Pongos as she can with her arms, and the tears continue to flow. She speaks between sobs.
I can't hug them all!
Oh god. Kara comes over and puts a comforting arm
It's
around her.
okay. Just hug as many as you can.
Yeah, like what the fuck? You're getting emotional over nothing. Let's calm down. Leanna sniffles and nods. My Pongo looks up at me with a wondering gaze. Stay by me. I look down at him and smile. Don't worry, you're the only Pongo I need. He beams up and hops in my arms and nuzzles me affectionately. From among the Pongos emerges a Pongo larger than the others. He has a twist of leaves which he wears around his head as he passes all the other Pongos, seems to settle down in reverence. He pauses in front of Leanna.
Boy?
Pongo King. Leanna blinks.
Boy.
Boy. Oh, that was a long string of boys. We come in peace, we come in boys. Let Leanna do that. We come in boys. I step in front of Leanna and rest the Pongo. Don't worry, we come in poise. Everyone stares at me and Zach face falls and shakes his head. The Pongo just looks at me curiously. The joke was worth it. The joke was worth it.
Boy?
I don't think he understood me. The Pongo steps up to the larger Pongo and speaks in a series of boys.
Boy.
The larger Pongo seems surprised and nods.
Boy.
Boy.
He turns around and hops deeper into the forest. My Pongo faces us. Yep, don't know what that means. He tilts his head to indicate the forest and follows the larger Pongo. Should we follow? Zach shrugs, but Leanna nods.
Yeah, I think we should. At the very least, we can't leave him.
He teleports. I'm still convinced he teleports. He's fine.
What if he's leading us to danger?
Not likely.
It would seem that the other Pongos respect the larger Pongo. He may be the equivalent of a king or other authority figure. If he wished us harm, we would already know.
Besides, the most harm a Pongo can do is cuddle us.
We better get a move on before we lose him. We follow the Pongos further into the forest. Some of the other Pongos tag along, popping in and out of the trees. I've never seen so many Pongos in one place before. What are they all doing here? Eventually, we stop in front of a crumbling stone structure.
Boy?
The Pongo leader nods.
Boy.
It would seem the Pongos have escorted us to the temple we seek.
How do they know? Can they understand us?
More than likely. Our Pongo friend inquired as to the reason for the migration of so many Pongos in one area. He must have been curious about their source of energy, which just happens to be the Earth Temple.
I narrow my eyes at Amelia. That seems very coincident. It does. I was like, do you speak Pongo?
No, but that rationale should be common sense.
Should it? Are you sure? Zach snorts as he tries to cover it up. I look back at the temple. It clearly hasn't been touched in a long time, and half of it is falling apart. Is it safe to go in there? Kara seems excited.
Only one way to find out.
Steps in, kaboom! She marches towards the temple.
But what about the Pongos? Won't they be upset?
Fuck them. Especially considering we intend to absorb the energy.
The temples were built over areas of naturally high concentrations of energy, so the temples continuously amass energy at an accelerated rate. Therefore, the amount which we will absorb will be replenished fast enough to not adversely affect the Pongo's ecosystem.
Why don't people live near these pockets of continuous energy?
The only energy we are able to manipulate is extracted from crystals. This form of energy, which resides in the air, cannot be manipulated or absorbed by humans.
She pauses.
Humans of Terra, that is. In contrast, Pongos are able to absorb all forms of energy, including airborne.
I see. Either way, it sounds like the Pongos will be okay. Maybe I'm part Pongo. Leanna nods and we follow Kara. The Pongos make no moves to stop us, but continue to watch us curiously.
Come on!
We approach the temple's entrance. The temple structure, at least what remains of it, reminds me of the one from the fire temple. It's built with an open front, and I can see where the altars may have stood in the past. Now it's just weathered stone. The columns are still holding up, but I watch them precariously, untrusting of their stability. Vibrantly green moss camouflages the gray stones. I have to admit, the view is quite impressive. Kara takes the lead and steps carefully on the stones, obviously testing for traps. The rest of us hang back and let her explore without distraction. Lena holds onto the Pongo, who seems eager to explore with Kara. After circling through the temple, she returns to us, perplexed.
Based on the design of the Fire Temple, I figured the Earth Temple would have more traps. Or even just one trap, but I found 0.
Then we should definitely stay on our guard.
Yes.
Are you doubting my abilities?
No!
Yeah.
I just meant...
Yeah, I get what he's going with. You're dumb. Kara giggles.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Zach grumbles and crosses his arms. See, I got duped too. Amelia steps up from the temple and starts to have a careful look around. The rest of us slowly filter in too. The Pongo hops out of Leanna's arms and bounces excitedly into the temple. Amy fidgets for the manipulator, much to the curiosity of Leanna.
What are you checking?
I am searching for any anomalies in these magical readings. The barrier from the last temple resonated a unique signature. If such a thing were to exist here as well, it is highly likely to lead us to the Earth Elemental.
Kara shakes her head in wonder.
I still can't believe the elementals are real.
I wouldn't jump so fast to that conclusion.
I do like
Seriously?
how they move and
Did
talk.
you
I
forget
can't get
about
over
our
that. It's
journey
probably
to
my
the
favorite part of
fire
this game.
temple?
I don't have to
didn't,
like...
but I don't remember me or the rest of you seeing the fire elemental. Except him.
Zach gives me a pointed look.
He wouldn't have a reason to lie about it.
Exposure to large quantities of magical energy can potentially cause hallucinations. There have been documented cases of such events transpiring.
She wasn't a hallucination, she was definitely real. Doesn't her transferring energy count as actual
Your
proof?
absorption of magic and the existence of elementals is not a casual relation.
Yeah. I thought you'd be the one most
I
likely to
do
believe me.
give credence to your anecdote in which you believe to have seen the fire elemental. However, more evidence is required to turn that anecdote into a fact.
Well, then let's get in here. She continues to attentively monitor her manipulator.
There appears to be a strange pattern regarding energy distribution.
A sudden rumble from above breaks our attention. The rocks shift precariously, then crack and come crashing down above me. Leanna tackled both of us out of the way just as the rock smashes down, leaving a heavy split in the stones on the ground. I land hard and my body erupts and aches.
Are you okay?
Leanna props herself up on top of me and peers down with a worried look.
Sorry. I channeled my wind energy into reaching you in time, and I didn't even think about softening the landing.
I'm just glad I'm not dead. I stare at her. You just saved my life and you're apologizing over something like that? Like, Christ. I'm just glad I'm not dead. I don't care what happened. Like Jesus. Leanna looks a little surprised, but then she lets out a smile. Are you okay?
Yeah, thankfully the brunt of my fall was broken by...
Her voice trails off and her cheeks redden when she realizes she's straddling me. She quickly picks herself up. Oh, I actually didn't mind it being like that. I wince and carefully push myself to my feet. Leanna's attention is on the mountain of rocks, sectioning us off from the rest of the team.
Hey, can you guys hear us?
Kara's voice is muted from the other side of the rock wall. We're fine. What happened?
The structure collapsed from the instability of the ruins. I would advise caution moving forward.
Hi, boy.
The Pongo's voice is very small. Pongo!
Don't worry. He's safe here with us.
Speaking of moving, how are we gonna get these stones moved?
Stand to the side. I'll move them with my magic.
I do not recommend that. Leanna motions me to move back, and I comply. Her gauntlet flickers to life as she channels her wind energy. At first, the rocks refuse to budge, but Leanna keeps trying. Sweat beads in her face as she concentrates, but even after a few more attempts, she's unable to move any of the rocks to break the wall.
I can't seem to move any of the stones.
The frustration evident in her voice. It's weird that she can't move any of the stones at all. I hear some shuffling on the other side, and it assumes Amy's using her manipulator to scan.
Interesting. It appears these are no ordinary stones. They are shielded with magic.
What does that mean?
The magic they are shielded with are dampening any other outside magical efforts.
That's not good.
However, in light of this new information, I am able to adjust the type of reading necessary to override the wall's magic block. By doing so, I am able to plot out the navigation of this temple as the ruins emit energy. Based on our current locale, our paths will converge in a short time if we move further in.
Alright. That sounds like a plan to
Let's
me.
get going then.
Leanna and I look at each other and we nod. We start heading to the direction Amy provided. We stick close together and keep cautious eye of our surroundings. Leanna periodically checks her manipulator. Looking for something?
I'm following Amy's energy signature to make sure we're both going in the same direction. So far, we're still on the right path, and should be converging with them soon enough.
That's good. I put my hands behind my head. Hey, I forgot to thank you earlier for saving me. Thanks. Leanna smiles.
You did the same for me.
When?
Raven Pass, remember?
Oh, yeah, it's right.
When we fought the treasurer.
I did just eat a dark attack. Oh, that. I guess so, but I only pushed you out of the way back then. In hindsight, I probably should have also dived out of the way too, instead of, eating the blast full force.
Moving out of the way would have been a better idea, but it was heroic nonetheless.
Leanna smirks.
Besides, you find yourself in trouble so often that saving you has kind of become second nature.
Oh, that's just great to hear. Wow, rude. Leanna giggles. She seems to be in better spirits as we continue traveling. We turn a corner and find ourselves in a slightly open area. I notice a bit of movement from the corner of my eyes. When I look over, all I see are the same mossy vines, which were covering the entrance of the temple too. That's strange.
The energy reading here is higher than usual.
What's up? Leanna goes to draw her sword.
It's not dormant like everywhere else. I'm scanning active energy here.
Before I can react, vines shoot up from the stones and... Oh god, here we come. And ruins and converge straight towards Leanna. She gasps and attempts to swing at the incoming vines, but there are too many of them. And they entangle her limbs. She loosens her grip on the sword and it clatters to the ground. And here we go. Yep.
What is this?
As soon as the word vines came up, I knew what was coming. For some reason, the vines only target Leanna and have kept the berth around me. Maybe the trap was only sensitive to energy manipulation. Thankfully, I wasn't casting. Leanna struggles to break free in vain as the vines lift her off the ground.
Help me down!
I pull out my sword. The vines twist and tangle around each other, which makes Leanna a moving target too. The last thing I want to do is accidentally cut her. As I'm trying to cut the vines, it might be best that I wait, right? Help her free. Oh. I dash forward and skillfully precision slice down the vines. As my sword cuts through the vines, they writhe and shrink away from Leanna until she's able to wiggle free. Unfortunately, more vines emerge and head straight for me. I cut them as they approach, but there's too many of them. I struggle to keep up. Just as the vines are about to encircle me, I spot a familiar glow of a blade carved trails of light through the vines. Leanna is a blur as she methodically slices the vines with an accuracy and speed I strive to mimic. Before long, all of the vines lay motionless in pieces on the ground. Well then.
This never happened. Got it?
What, did we get trapped by vines? She glares at me and despite her burning cheeks. Yes, ma'am.
Let's hurry up and get going then.
Leanna doesn't wait for me as she continues down the path. I jog to catch up to her. Leanna is extra cautious and keeps her blade at the ready as we continue down the path. Thankfully, without further incident, we spot the rest of the group waiting for us on a converging path.
You guys made it!
Boy!
The Pongo bounces over to me and leaps into my arms. Hey, buddy. Kara beams and waves us over. She blinks when she gets a better look at us.
Whoa! Did something happen?
Leanna clears her throat and a subtle pink tinges her cheeks.
Nothing at all. Isn't that right?
I just said traps. She shoots me a warning. Right. Nothing. Kara looks back and forth between us and then grins.
Oh, I get it. I mean, you two were alone after all.
Leanna cheeks flare.
No, it's not what you're thinking.
Kara winks.
Right. Nothing happened.
Leanna mumbles something incoherent as she pushes past Kara.
What is with everyone's overly active imaginations today?
Good golly. The group looks to me for answers. And with that, I'm going to end this one here. Catch you guys on the flip side.